Welcome everyone, Janet here with Gracious Gifts Tarot, and we are here with August 16th through the 22nd. So we're going to do our weekly forecast. Remember, this is a collective reading. It's for everybody anytime you need to hear it. And take what resonates and leave the rest. I am using the Everyday Witch Tarot. I just kind of wanted to show you this. I love this deck. It's a lot of fun and it has huge resource book and just fun artwork. Let's go ahead and get our 4 cards laid out for today. I will be expanding this again with Rider-Waite-Smith, and we'll do a oracle card at the end. All right, let's take a look now and see what's happening on the 16th and 17th. That would be Sunday and Monday. We have the 10 of Pentacles. Wow. All right, we're in our earth sign, and this is abundance. This is maturation. This is, really getting everything that you've worked so hard for. And I want you to really notice, pardon the glare, yeah, my overhead lighting. This is sharing. This is sharing with generations. This is home, hearth, health. And there's abundance and joy. We've got the grapes here ready to be harvested. We have everything from children to elders, and also that family pet in there. I love that. There should be some cats in here. Yes, with the dog right there. There's always cats in this Everyday Witch Tarot, which is fun. But what a great way to start the week, and I would say if you're watching this on Saturday, maybe it's time to organize a family gathering, sometime in the next week, and just bring those generations together for what we can learn from each other. I think that in this age of just over media saturation, look at me here on Facebook and YouTube, but anyway, just that oversaturation of focusing on things that aren't interactive with other people. So I would really encourage you to take advantage of this abundance. Like I said, this is in Pentacles, the earth sign. This is about what makes us feel stable, what we bring to the work world, what we bring to just the material world in terms of taking care of ourselves, accumulating wealth, and taking care of our family. So yeah, I would say again, when we get multiple people in a card, there's something in the circle of influence around you that might need some attention. So maybe this is just the time to really strengthen those bonds and enjoy your family and friends. All right, that's Sunday and Monday. Let's go ahead and take a look at Tuesday and Wednesday. So we will see what's going on here. Justice, that's interesting. And I love how this justice is peeking out from underneath the blindfold. And she's got, kind of hard for me to see, it has some kind of title, but I think it's a law. It says law. She's got the book of law in her lap, and she's got the scale of balance there with cats, a black and a white cat sitting there. But she's not looking too stressed to me. She's just hanging out. And justice coming into our week is really about being sure that we are being fair and we are being treated fairly. So I would say if, you are in the midst of the work world and working on the fine details of something before you turn something in, oftentimes this year, we're finishing up the July budget and having to report on the next year's budget, those kind of things. Really make sure everything is on the up and up, and that you've done your fact checking too. The law book here kind of to me says, there's written rules that we can refer to when it comes to the details. So be sure that you're not glossing over that, and be sure that you have the most recent edition of whatever the topic is that you are responsible for. In relationships, again, communication, fairness, and you might be interacting with a number of people that mean something to you. So this is the time to get that clarity. I don't know why this is coming to mind, but maybe you're an adult, an older adult like myself, and you're talking to your siblings, and maybe this is kind of time to clear some air around perhaps some past conflicts and things that you want to feel better about moving forward, and to do it with fairness and listening. We've had a lot of swords in the last couple of weeks, and the communication and the listening, and that kind of came during and at the tail end of the last Mercury retrograde. And I'm just still feeling the residual need for transparency and clarity in communication. So we have the lovely scales of justice here, major arcana, so pay attention to this. All right, enough of that. We are going to now talk about Thursday and Friday before we hit the weekend. Okay, another major arcana, the Hierophant, who is a teacher. And I love that this is in a different tradition than perhaps that high church pope bishop figure with the two monks, and just that feeling of really formal religion and structure. But the Hierophant comes into the pilgrim's journey to teach us the traditions, to pass on the things that have been won through wisdom and experience. But the Hierophant in this one, is just so chill. And I think, too, the flip side of this is, you may be really stuck in the rule book, back to the law thing here, and I said do refer to that. But perhaps it's time to get a little creative in our thinking and not get boxed in, and decide for ourselves what our path is to our belief system, what our path is to our personal code of ethics. And it doesn't have to look like something that's really formal and structured. And I'm a yogi, and I love that this is really that Zen, really getting into the inner meditation. So that's also what I'm getting with the Hierophant here, which it doesn't in the traditional card really evoke that for me. But for this, it's like, it's time to listen to your inner voice. Another card with multiple people in it. So maybe finding some Zen and comfort and calm can be for you, literally in a yoga class. I certainly tap into that for that. Or some other circle of talent, crafts, hobbies, things that you do around people that are of a like mind, that are there to support you. So really, again, what's standing out to me is question structures a little bit. Question those bars around what we've put around ourselves in our thinking. Stretch their creativity a little bit with the Hierophant coming in. So far this week is really interesting. There's people dynamics going on, but there's also an internal dialogue about really getting clear who we are this week. Let's see what our weekend has for us. Knight of Swords, fast moving. So in comes our intellect and thinking. And boy, I would really say with the Knight of Swords, he is the fastest moving, quickest to make decisions, perhaps a little too fast in the deck. The Knights are about movement, and boy, he is, he's armed and ready for battle, and he's got all the ravens ready to go too, and off we go on our broomstick. But the cautionary thing here, I really am going to go back to justice and our Hierophant in terms of, whoa, slow down a little bit. Don't get too far out ahead of yourself without the grounding that's really coming in here. And remember, things are really great this week. Things are really stable, or this is what you're working towards. So don't get in a hurry and get so fixated on one thing in our head. Air sign, the swords, it's how our thought processes go. Don't get so intently focused on, I've got to have that. I've got to reach that goal. I've got to get there. Take a deep breath, pause, go inward, count the blessings you have. Sometimes, the bird in the bush concept, but yeah, but if movement is needed, you will have the energy and the drive to maybe break loose if some procrastination is coming to mind, to move you forward this week. All in all, a great week, really. Like I said, there's some deep stuff going on here, but we have the skill set to handle this And being aware of it is just so helpful that, oh, I better slow down a little bit and, really question some things around me. All right, I am going to expand this. We're going to look at health and well-being. That's body, mind, and spirit. We're going to look at love and relationships, and then we're going to do kind of that career stability look too. And I'm going to be consistent here. These have been shuffled, but we are going to stick with the Rider-Waite-Smith. And this Everyday Witch Tarot is very Rider-Waite-Smith based, which I really like. All right, I'm just going to cut this. And we are going to start with health and well-being. Let's see what we get. Major Arcana, the Hanged Man. And I haven't seen him come into play for a very, very long time. And could there be a more interesting card about growth, pausing to think about things, enlightenment from a completely different perspective, literally hanging upside down? He forms the figure 4, which is a very good number. It's even, it's growth, it's prosperity. And then I want you to notice in this traditional card, he's hanged literally just by a loose tie with that ankle. And the hands are not bound. This person can get out of this, but this is an intentional pause in the road, pause in the pilgrim's journey. And it is about growth because we've got vines, we've got growth on this tree that he is hanging upside down on. So, enough talking about that. There's power in the color red, there's purity in the color blue. And then we have this enlightenment, this celestial feeling of just something bigger than ourselves is happening in our thought process with that sort of halo around his head. So Major Arcana for health and well-being. Again, this is reinforcing. Take that pause and really get into that inner sanctum person in there that is ready to come out spiritually. I said body, mind, and spirit. So this to me is really about that spiritual journey of growth and self-care. This is also for me, as particularly today in this reading, this is about taking the time for some self-care and just checking in with all of my systems, all of my body. How am I really feeling? Am I nourishing myself? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I having enough time just to download and enjoy reading a book or playing the piano or painting or just doing something creative and restful that recharges me? So take the Hanged Man's advice for what it means to you. It's a really interesting card, and it has not come into play for quite a while for us. So let's pay attention to this Major Arcana in health, body, mind, and spirit. All right, touched on that enough. Love and relationships. And they're all posted now. I did a live Tea Toast and Tarot, and my topic was partnered up love and relationships and also single and looking. I've split the 45 minutes up that I did live. It's all out there. It is there for you to find when you need to find it. It was great. And we had some repeat cards of what we've been seeing for a while here. I'm just having I don't have the dexterity in my hands I used to have, so that's okay. Hasn't affected my piano playing yet, thank goodness. All right, love and relationships. Swords, the King of Swords. Haven't had him in a while either. We've had our Queen pop up. All right, communication. And I love this because I don't know if you can see it, but to me, these look like butterflies in the throne. And that is metamorphosis, that is growth, that is change. Our King of Swords is really rather outsized and sitting sort of on the edge of a cliff, but he's looking pretty calm. He's wearing that robe of blue purity and the royalty of the purple cape. But the King of Swords is a reminder in a more gentle way in my mind than the Queen of Swords about our communication skills, telling it as it is. The King to me is more subtle than the blunt Queen of Swords that's going to come in swinging. But he is really a figure of leadership, calmness again. I like that we're getting him along with the Hierophant. And I know this was about health, body, mind, and spirit, and this is about love and relationships, but everything's connected in how we communicate with other people. So the King of Swords, it might be time to actually have that conversation. And if you are sitting in this throne, you know, you have some power, don't abuse it. Listen, listen, listen. That is one, you know, flaw of the court cards with swords is, you know, remembering that equal time, equal opportunity, and I'm going to go back to justice here on this, and having a conversation that needs to happen. If you are partnered up, perfect. If you're looking, I would say, you know, be real clear and honest with yourself, with where you're at. If this is someone else coming into your sphere or of interest, you know, be sure that there's open communication with that person and compatibility. I love that in our weekly reading, we did get the Ten of Pentacles. It's grounding everything I'm seeing here for us in all of these areas. You know, in the health, mind and body and spirit, you know, good things are happening here. And none of these other cards, you know, are any counterindication to that. But I'm going to pull up the Knight of Swords, you know, that restless sort of impulsive energy. The King of Swords is helping balance that out in the relationship and communication area for me. All right, single and looking, I would say just be really sure that you're finding who you are and you're at peace with past relationships, issues, drama. That's come up several times. I think justice is really in your corner. I think justice may have come in a love reading. Might have been judgment, might have been justice, can't remember. But you know, that just this calm, thinking it through. I think you're ready if you're single and looking. You know, the leadership feeling is here with the King of Swords. So if that resonates, go for it. All right, we're going to transition now to that career, what makes us feel stable. And it's not always about what we do to make money. It's how we find fulfillment in our lives, day to day, okay? I'm just going to cut this time. Just take a card on the top. The Fool. Oh man, we haven't had the Fool in a while either. And I like to call this the Pilgrim because really we're on that quest for maturation in our spirit, our relationships, our health, everything. And the beautiful Fool is ready to step out lightly loaded. Set down those burdens. Do this with that beautiful white rose in your hand. And the Rider-Waite-Smith has the white little companion dog saying, look out, you know, you're about ready to step off a cliff. But this is leap of faith. I love the Fool because it's lighthearted. It's the beginning of the journey. All the possibilities of everything you're going to learn, ups and downs, great things, hard things, everything that's coming through is at your footsteps, literally, if you're willing to take that first step and just dare to be brave. You know, anything new that's coming into your life that you're thinking about, you're getting the message very clearly, and a lot of support here with these other cards, that it is time to step out and really explore. You know, don't be afraid to just take some chances, take a leap of faith, and explore. And when it comes to what makes us feel stable, this feeling of, oh, I've got to go, I'm feeling like the urge to start, that can be a little unsettling. So, you know, be sure that you're doing the inner reflection work, because, you know, the outcome, you know, we got this beautiful Ten of Pentacles, that there's great things in your life right now, but it can only get better if you're willing to be a bit adventuresome and step out and take advantage of the energy of the Fool. And remember, it's zero, so all the possibilities are there as we step forward into the Magician and all the rest of the major arcana. It is there for you. All right, let me see if there's anything else in this realm that's kind of standing out that we haven't talked about. Yeah, the only cautionary card, and it's not really cautionary at all, is just don't be too quick about anything. And the Fool isn't about rushing either. You know, I think we've got enough information here of inner reflection that, you know, the change that you're ready to make, it almost feels like it's just that extra little push that, yeah, it's time, I'm ready. Building up my courage to go ahead and take that leap of faith. And the only cautionary thing here I would say with the Knight of Swords is just make sure you've done this work so you're not too quick to move and haven't thought it through. You know, this is about thinking it through before action. All right, my loves, I am at 20 minutes. Wow, we're talking a lot. And I'm going to use the Soul Truth deck that I used for the Tea Toast and Tarot Live. I've kind of forgotten about this, and this was a major journaling deck for me for years. And I truly love it. And we are going to, I'm not looking at it intentionally because there's writing on both sides of the card. So I'm just going to set it over here and take whatever's on the top, and we will go with it. All right. What are the dominant emotions that run my life? And let me read it to you. How do you fill your day? Stress or joy, trust or anger, anxiety or peace? We have only today, right now, the journey. No goal, no destination will bring us the feelings we seek. But when we begin feeling every day with that which we value most, we will attract more of it. This is fulfillment. Today's soul action, lean into what you want to feel and adjust your life, your values, and your expectations to match your desires. What do you want to feel? Are you willing to let go of the belief that you have to achieve something to feel it? And the Hierophant, you know, I already talked a bit about challenging structure and being true to yourself, and then taking that reflection time with the Hanged Man for your body, mind, and spirit. And I think that's beautifully reinforced by this soul card of what are the dominant emotions that run my life. Identifying those, embracing them, because there is no negative emotion. We need to feel everything and work our way through it. All right, that's what I have for this week. Very positive week in my mind. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and until next time, just take care. All my best to everyone. Bye.